Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Link.
And I'm Rhett. This week at the round table of dim lighting, we're going to be talking mostly about our recent trip to the Pacific Northwest, PNW in the house, the home of what I might consider to be the highest concentration of mythical beasts on Earth.
You think so?
Based on anecdotal evidence alone.
We did see a lot of mythical beasts.
I am so impressed with the people of the Pacific Northwest. That's a little rap. And it isn't necessarily because they seem to know who we are and like what we do, but it is mostly that.
In great numbers.
I would say when we go back to North Carolina, because we're hometown boys, there are lots of people who are familiar with what we do. Mm-hmm. But that's just, you know what? Does that really count? I mean, you know, it's where you're from. When you go to some place that you've only been a couple of times in your life.
Well, we've never been to Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon.
Which is where we went.
Bend, Oregon. Bend, Oregon, if you say it fast, it sounds like you're telling somebody to bend over again.
A second time.
Bend, Oregon. Bend, Oregon. I'm your proctologist, Bend, Oregon.
I didn't go deep enough the first time.
Yeah, hold on, I gotta use my other hand. Bend, Oregon.
My other hand.
My other hand, yeah. Both gloved.
Wow.
But
not other finger, just other hand.
I just can't tell you. Now, we knew there was a sign when we very quickly sold out the Seattle shows for the Wonderhole premiere. And we did not very quickly sell out the Los Angeles shows.
Nope. Which, by the way, Wonderhole still going strong every Sunday. Episode 5 came out this past Sunday, which means there's one left this coming Sunday.
It's already almost over. But we sold the Seattle tickets basically sold to like 99% in 2 days. And we were like, whoa, okay, we haven't been up there in a while. That's a good sign. Mm-hmm. And then the crowd was electric. They were electric.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was quite a party. We had a lot of fun. It was great to watch those episodes with them. If you haven't watched our nude scene, episode 4, which is we bought an unclaimed, I don't even know what we're calling these things. Storage locker. We bought an abandoned storage locker.
I think is what.
And we found a Lamborghini inside, according to the thumbnail at least that we emulated from all the other people who've bought abandoned storage lockers and not found Lamborghinis, but put them in the thumbnails.
Yeah.
So we could have talked about that last week, but it's never too late to talk about our nude scene, Rhett.
Oh yeah, we had a nude scene. What have you boys become? What has California done to you?
Closer, I guess. Willing to do whatever it takes to prove our best friendship. And if that means keeping each other warm while completely naked, ? The blurring. I think we got to talk a little bit about the blurring. First time I saw the blurred version, I think was at the premiere on that big screen. It was a big blur, but it was also a big screen.
Right.
So I actually think that the blurs weren't big enough.
I agree with you.
Yes, everything was covered and pixelated, but come on, team. They could have blurred more. They could have blurred lower.
Yep.
They didn't have to blur the absolute minimum.
Yep.
They could have implied the need for more blurring.
Well, I feel like I can discuss some of the technical details of this and maybe we would both feel better. Okay? It is going to reveal something about the nude scene that I think most people who are thinking a little bit probably already know.
That we did the tuck.
So if you thought that we literally got naked and I pressed my penis into Link's butt crack or we put our penises together That didn't happen because this is show business, and there is we don't have an intimacy coordinator. We sort of serve as each other's intimacy coordinator.
No. I coordinate my own intimacy. I don't need any coordination assistance when it comes to my intimacy.
We just wanted it to seem like those things were happening, but in the reality of the situation, we put on what is called a dance belt.
Dance belt. Mm-hmm.
But
which is a flesh.
It's not a belt at all.
It's not really.
It's just it's flesh-colored underwear that are way too tight.
Well, correct.
Because the hiney wasn't out. It wasn't like a jock strap. Was the hiney out? I
You
don't
know
think
what?
The hiney
Your
was out.
hiney was
You know what?
not out.
It wasn't
no
a dance.
heinies were
It
out.
wasn't an official dance belt because we've donned dance
fair.
belts under like superhero costumes,
Yeah.
and they're designed to smooth out, Superman's treasures, and and
His
it's
Ice Palace or whatever
and
it's
it's
called.
for like male. It's for like male ballerinas. What do you call those?
Boy arenas.
I don't know. We could just call them male ballerinas.
Okay,
Yeah.
Or
I'm
just
just trying to be.
I don't
right.
know,
Trying to do
actually.
it right. And it's to cover up the, smooth the bits out. And those are like a thong in the back, like a jack strap.
Jack strap.
Peter. So I don't know why I said the name of the person that I was sort of sounding like. I just should never have done that.
I thought you sounded like his wife.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah.
That's what you
But I
did.
kind of sounded like him too.
Okay.
But what we had was just flesh-colored underwear, and we did use a black marker to put pubes on them because we thought maybe the pubes would show up in the blur.
Oh, I treated it like my journal.
Yep.
I drew an entire,
You drew a whole penis
yeah.
on yours. But setting that aside for a second,
Didn't
let me
matter.
just say, if you don't know that we have on fleshy tighties, I guess is what they would be called, the beigey tighties.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, they are still dance belts.
They are still dance belts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a full coverage type
Okay.
thing.
But what a proper tighty underwear does for you is it grabs everything and it kind of brings it in close.
Very close.
But then the blur, if we were supposed to be naked,
Right.
then it wouldn't be so close. Gravity would be having some effect on it and
Yeah.
bringing it down. I don't know how many inches. I'm not going to say.
And there might be some floppage and danglage.
Yes, but the blur job that was done on us
Was not.
was just on the tighty part, and so
Yeah.
if you
People
look
think
at,
I'm joking. I'm upset.
if you look at a profile version of us in that nude scene, you'd be like, well, I would expect a penis to be hanging in that.
We should
in
have
that area.
worn fake penises.
Yeah, we
because
should
that
have
was
done
that may have been our only chance
Well, we
to
didn't have
wear.
the budget for that. Those are really expensive. Anytime you see a dong on TV, it's not real.
But it's
It's
over.
significantly bigger than the dong that's inside the prosthetic.
because it has
Because
to
it
go
has
over.
to be. And also, if you're gonna sign up to do a nude scene, give me the big one. That's what you're gonna say.
Right.
I mean, give me the big one. Let me live a little. Let me see what it feels like. That's what all these actors are doing.
But we did, press our bodies together.
We
and,
did.
I just wasn't, the main thing I was thinking was, be funny. And then the second thing I was thinking was, don't mess up in a way that you have to do it again.
There's a thing that happens in my brain when I'm doing something that would otherwise be difficult, but I am being filmed, and it feels like I'm living a dream. Well, I am living the dream, Link. I'm living through a dream.
Yeah.
The first time that I really registered this was when we went skydiving in season 1 of Wonderhole. I was like, I
Right.
should be so scared right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm beyond scared. I'm like adjacent to scared. And of course, I'm screaming in the video. I'm screaming like a crazy person in the video because that was the joke. It was like, you're going to be so crazy and Link's going to be just with his arms folded. Was I scared? Yes. Was I as scared as it seemed like I was? No, I was acting like I was scared because really what I wanted to do was vomit because I was about to throw up the whole time.
Yeah.
But
But you weren't about to vomit when we were pressing ourselves against each other.
no, there's two things that happen in that episode. The first thing that happens is should we just say? I mean,
Yeah.
baby bird. It's been over a week since
The
that
cookie
episode.
the cookie test.
And I got to admit, because it was happening on camera.
Right.
When it happened, I had zero gag reflex. I think if I was just doing that in person, now you did a gag reflex when I did that to you on the show, but it was because I spit something really nasty into your mouth.
It was
You
really
spit
nasty.
a chocolate chip cookie into my mouth, and it just tasted like a chocolate chip cookie, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But then the nude scene,
And
same thing,
we,
adjacent.
we wanted to achieve something with it that was more than just, oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. And we hadn't really reckoned with it.
But you did
We had
legitimately
decided-
laugh after you baby birded me, and we weren't about to do it again, so we just left it in there.
Yeah.
So people knew that you broke.
There's nothing wrong with me laughing.
There's a few like breaks throughout the season of Wonderhole that they don't play as complete breaks. It is the
Right.
kind of thing that you might laugh at if you were doing it in
Yeah.
person, but if you were actually doing it. But
If I discovered that my dead step uncle was gay, I mean, I would laugh at that if I discovered that in the moment.
right,
And I did.
my laugh at you during that scene was very legitimate.
Yeah, see, that's what we're able to do. The latest episode is Extreme Camouflage Hide and Seek. So check that out. We went to an abandoned power plant on the beach of Oxnard or somewhere around there.
Oxnard, yeah.
That's not.
A huge, like I want to say 14 stories tall power plant, non-operational, but still
It's still a filming location. You
a
can still use
legal
it.
filming location.
Though it's a little dicey and rusty, and there are many places where it's rusted out, and they've just put like a
Nobody
piece of
fell.
plywood all over it.
Yep.
No
yeah.
tetanus. Thought it was going to happen, but it didn't.
Money stress is one of the biggest headaches in life. Back when we were just getting started, there were times we dealt with overdraft fees or waiting for money to hit our bank account so we could get more items for the studio.
It was times like those that we wish we had Chime. It makes a huge difference to money management. With Chime, when you set up direct deposit, you can get paid up to 2 days early. And with qualifying direct deposit, you're eligible for fee-free overdraft up to $200. That's money back in your pocket when you need it most.
Plus, no monthly fees, no maintenance fees, and access to more than 47,000 fee-free ATMs, more than the top 3 national banks combined.
Even if you're not just starting out and you're established, getting your paycheck early is a game changer. And I love that they have real-time alerts. You can keep track of every purchase.
Having a little more control over your money is gonna feel good. My younger self would have loved this. Work on your financial goals through Chime today.
Open an account in 2 minutes at chime.com/ear. That's chime.com/ear.
Chime feels like progress.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. Bank ranking and number of ATMs according to U.S. News and World Report 2023. Chime checking account required.
So we just got back from our annual college buddy trip to Bend, Oregon. First time ever going there. It's our 4th annual trip ever since we reconnected with our boys. Greg, Tim, and Harm. Greg was our first college roommate when we added a 3rd roommate. And then Tim was our next college roommate when we added a 4th apartment mate. And Harm,
Harm good friends with Tim.
but he was never our roommate.
There were two apartments that were friends, and then so that was the connection, and then Harm became one of the boys as well.
So we're gonna talk to you about that. Before we do, I just wanna make sure that you've heard that Good Mythical Evening is happening again this year on October 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. The times matter because this is live. This is live broadcast to you after you've bought a ticket. And that ticket also gives you video on demand. If you can't watch it live, then you can watch it after the fact. And I can't tell you what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be space themed. And there's gonna be inebriation.
Intergalactic debauchery
Yeah,
is what we're calling it.
it's gonna be a totally different vibe and world.
There will be costumes, but they won't be monsters.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some people would be.
Maybe some people will be.
If you want to get these tickets, go to goodmythicaleating.com.
You need to do that.
There's a 72-hour exclusive 72-hour discount for Mythical Society members. You can find out about that there. And also remember that we are going to be in Alamo draft houses around the country of the United States of America.
If you want to watch it live in a theater setting with other mythical beasts.
Every time I've ever
drinking
heard
yourself, do it.
Every time I've ever heard somebody say that they went to the draft house events, they say it was like one of the best nights that they've had because there were a bunch of people
Right.
who are in this world of mythical beasts.
Right.
You're all in a
they
theater.
serve alcohol.
You're all drinking.
Good
You're
food.
all eating. In fact, there's mythical themed items on the menu, and the food at the draft house is great. And they just do everything right in that theater. So I think we're gonna be on like 19 screens this year. But see if there's one near you and go to it. Meet some mythical beasts. I mean, I can promise you that will be a fun night.
Oh yeah. And get a designated driver or take a lift home, just like we're gonna do when we are done. We chose Bend because every year we learn things that we want to tweak and do different. When we went to Big Sky, Montana last year, we were underwhelmed with the restaurant options.
Yeah, sorry, Montana.
As an example. So we were like, all right, we need more of an established town. We'd been to Durango
Is great.
before, which was awesome.
Well, the requirements that we loosely discuss are we want an Airbnb where everybody has their own bedroom. We're middle-aged men,
Right.
working hard, running businesses.
You don't want to sleep.
We ain't in college anymore. We ain't bunking it up with another dude. We're not getting in a bed with somebody else. We want our own bedroom, preferably our own bathroom. That doesn't always happen.
And we also want a fire pit.
And a hot tub.
And a hot tub.
Why not?
Because we want to sit down facing each other in a relaxed setting and be able to catch up and spin some yarns.
Right.
You know, you only get together once a year. Yeah, I just can't overemphasize the importance of a good fire pit
Yeah,
for a college boys.
It is the
getaway.
topic. It is the central location of great conversation. We also like this house to be in proximity to a town of some repute. And because a town of some repute has restaurants of some repute.
Right.
And these boys like to eat.
Good
We
foods.
like to eat. You got to have some restaurants for your boys.
Yes.
And we also like to be close to options for adventure.
And I would say even water.
Water. You can
We
even
like-
say water.
Like our Airbnb was on a pond.
It was on a pond.
And there was a boat on it. And
Several boats.
Greg and I went out on that boat.
Yeah.
We did a little row your boat.
You guys went out on the
Y'all were in the hot
pond,
tub.
and then Greg mooned all of us from the boat for an extended period, at least 90 seconds, more than he needed to.
Yeah, I think he was stretching his hamstrings.
Okay. And
with his pants down, which is a way to do it.
Yep.
I just think you happened to see it for 90 seconds. Could you have looked away? I think so, but did you?
no,
I think not.
I was making out details.
making out
And
I was rowing towards you as fast as I could while he was doing it.
one of the things that we really like to do when you say water, not just a pond, but we like a nice river. We've done
Flowing
water.
water.
There's been a river in all 4 trips. First year was a whitewater rafting trip that wasn't that impressive because it was too late in the season and it's just like it was kind of low and we didn't feel like we were going to die and we didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
The second year we did just a river float.
No, second year we
Oh no,
we went
that was
up
a crazy.
notch
That was a
to the
crazy whitewater
crazy river
We almost died the second year.
where we felt like we were going to die.
We did like class
Which was
5 rapids.
Yeah.
And it was nuts, and we were wearing wetsuits because it was so cold, and it was crazy, but we all were
crazy.
scared the whole time.
It was crazy. And then last year, we got on a river, and it was just the most serene float.
Just a tube.
Just
You just
tubes.
tubing down a float, tubing down a river.
In the middle of nowhere, Montana.
Beautiful scenery.
But no civilization.
No civilization. But Bend has a river, and I think this is the name why they call it Bend, because the river bends.
It makes
this
an
big
S.
right in the middle of town. And the thing that the people of Bend love to do is to float down this river. They have made this an art. They have made floating down this river an art form. Of course, there's the companies that you can contact to rent a tube, but then there's the people who have brought their own tubes. We saw
Flamingos.
We saw this one thing that was a giant tube, almost the size of this room, and it had multiple places for people just to sit down into like the tube with their butt in the river. And then we saw another one.
And then there was like a swimming area in the middle of it.
A little hot tub type thing, but not, a little pool.
And then
with a net on the bottom.
A lot of people would have like tandem floats where you'd be with your date, and then in the middle there'd be like a cooler thing.
Built into the tube.
And that whole tandem thing is really good. That's one of the things we learned, because we did not have any way to lash ourselves together. And so there were points we ended up struggling. Whenever you would split apart, then all of a sudden, whoa, you've been on the other side of the river, and then I wouldn't see you guys for 15 minutes. I'd see you, but I couldn't get to you for 15 minutes.
And we teamed up with some lesbians.
Yes, we did.
You know us. We love lesbians. Everybody knows Link loves lesbians, but I also do. I just didn't get a T-shirt.
Lesbians on rivers is just iconic.
And there were a couple of lesbians, and we're just like,
you're with us now.
A beeline right for them. And then they teamed up with us, and we were all then we became a big group.
Right.
And we were going down the river, holding on to each other's rafts, catching up about things, getting the latest lesbian news, at least from that part of the world.
But then we got separated, me, Harm, and one of the lesbos.
They said we could call them that.
Yeah.
They said
no, that's her name. Their names were both lesbo.
They said we could call them that. That's
Shannon
not their name.
Shannon and Joe something.
Joby?
Shannon, Harm, and I, we got separated. And so we kind of stayed together, and we were trying to get back to the main flotilla. I mean, and it was moving, but it wasn't like it was rapids. It was just flowing, and it was just hard to move laterally.
But you were ahead of us, and you were getting close to the actual rapids, which we can talk about in a moment. Yeah. And I wanted all of us to go down together.
It was important for you that we all get together. You were like mama henning at this point.
Well,
wasn't hearing a word you were saying, by the way.
You, especially when you are in an inebriated state, first of all, already you are always the weakest link when it comes to remembering to hold on to other people. Like, you let go, like the circle would never be unbroken. It would always break at Link. The weak link was Link.
Because I would do other things with my hands.
You would stop,
like raise a beer to my lips.
Yeah, and then you would forget what was happening.
Give a wave to a potential lesbian.
And I said this before we took off. I said, we need to stay together, because when we're together, we have a better time. Because what I learned in Montana was when you were off on that paddleboard by yourself, going up and interrupting other flotillas and beginning conversations with strangers, that we were like, well, we would prefer it if we were all together. We all came here together. We're having a good time.
Yep.
So I was like,
you were right about this.
Let's try to remain together, and if we get apart, let's try to work back together. And we definitely should be together when we go down the rapids, because that's when we're going to be making memories together. So y'all were up ahead of us.
We were trying to move, I think.
But you were going too fast. And I was paddling, trying to catch up, like trying to get down the river. And I'm looking around, and, I just figure you can kind of see, we're almost to the rapids, and you can kind of see like ripples in the water and like the effects of rocks making like V's and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, all that needs to happen is Harm, because Link's not going to listen to me, and I'm not going to ask the lesbian to do it. Harm he needs to get out of the tube and put his feet on the ground and stop everybody.
Yeah.
So I said, put your feet down. He didn't hear me. I said, put your feet down. I'm yelling this across the river. And he looks at me and he's like, so he begins to.
And I didn't hear Rhett. I wasn't listening to him, of course.
Okay, so tell it from your perspective.
So then I look, all of a sudden I see Harm just throw a leg over and then throw the other leg over with gusto, like he's about to step down a step.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, whoosh. And I saw his chin come up and I saw his eyes get as wide as saucers. His mouth wasn't even closed. His mouth was open.
And then his hat.
And then all of a sudden, he's gone, and then his hat's just there. And I'm like,
yeah.
Why did you do that?
It was a lot deeper than I
Why
realized.
did you do that? And then I'm just laughing, and I'm like, well, because he was hot.
And I see it from a distance, and all I see is I just see him lean over the edge and just completely disappear. And no one on my flotilla even sees it. I'm like, Harm just disappeared. He's under.
He's under.
His hat isn't under, though.
And it was cold, too.
It was so cold. It was shocking.
It's not the type of thing that, I mean, the only one that that intentionally took a dip was Greg, because Greg doesn't care.
And I asked Harm, I was like, did you feel the bottom at any point? He says, never. I never felt the bottom. It was probably 10 feet deep. There was no way to get to the bottom. Somehow.
It was just so funny to watch. It looked like it was the last time I was going to see him.
And somehow.
Like the look of I'm dying on his face was real.
Oh, and he was fine.
He was fine, though.
Now, but what ended up happening that I didn't know because I had no experience on this river was that you were about to get to a bottleneck where everybody was lining up to go down the rapids. And it was like everyone was kind of backing up because there's 3 areas that you can go in.
Under a bridge.
There is the area that you're supposed to go down, which is, rapids. And these rapids are actually artificial. They're man-made. And they have basically these inflatable things that are creating inflatable rocks almost to create rapids.
It inflates a big pillow, and then on the front side of the pillow upriver is like a metal plate.
I think it's what they use in the Olympics for the whitewater rafting courses when they make those.
Because the plate raises up and then it creates a wave
kayaking.
or a V, and so the far left route was a series of rapids created for tubes. And then in the middle, it's for expert rafters only. And what you'll see there is a big V, and you if you go down through that on a kayak, then after that, there's a wave that's created. And I think they can change around and inflate different things to make the waves different. But there was a standing wave in the river that then surfers would line up and one at a time jump out and surf the wave.
Yeah.
Some people were really good. There was a guy doing 360s and just having a ball. There was people learning how to do it. I would have totally given it a shot. I would have worn a helmet because there was concrete that you're standing on, that then you're holding on to the edge of the concrete and trying to stand on the board and then pushing off, and you could wallop your head or something.
Yeah.
Especially if you were yelling at Harm, step down!
Well, I wouldn't be, put your feet down.
Put your feet down!
And then the third section is the wildlife section, where the birds and the geese are.
And the snakes and the swans.
And it's nice and pretty and, no humans are going through there.
Very cool because it's right in the middle of town and
bunch of nice houses.
You're walking, it's a bridge that you're walking across, and you can stand up there and you can just watch people shooting the rapids.
And the river is controlled, obviously, by some sort of dam upstream that controls the flow and keeps the level exactly where you want it to be, because these people would have these nice houses, and then in the back of the house there'd be a deck and a grill and a hot tub, and then all the way down, just inches above the surface of the river, there would be a patio or a grassy area with chairs for just sitting on. Mm-hmm. The kind of thing that if the river fluctuates in level, this would be flooded all the time. And so it's very controlled.
That's a good point.
And okay, but the rapids come, and it was me and you and Greg and our cooler raft.
By the time we got there, it was the three of us.
I was responsible for the cooler raft, not flipping over. And
I was responsible for the beer in my hand.
It didn't look like it didn't look like this was going to be a difficult thing. But it was more intense than I would have ever imagined.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
So we had a great time.
Right.
We had a great time, made friends, we added 2 more lesbians to our, to the Rolodeck. And
Rolodex.
No, mine's just a deck.
Okay.
It's not real. It's like a holodeck. It just is in my mind.
All right.
But then the next day, so that was all we had planned for the river.
Mm-hmm.
But
next day we went on we toured the Deschutes Brewery.
Yes. Which is an old school. I mean, been around for a long time. Early in the microbrew game, but now they're pretty big.
They're huge.
Yeah.
But they're still a microbrewery technically, or whatever they call it's not bought by a corporation. And but you can buy it in Costco apparently.
You can.
Deschutes beer.
But after we finished that, we just started talking.
We were walking around the river watching other people in there, and we were like,
let's go down again. Can we just go down again?
Can we just go down
and
again?
Greg, we knew this, and for some reason we didn't trust Greg. Greg, who lived the closest to Bend and can drive, actually drove there. He brought with him an inflatable paddleboard. He said it was big. He said it's called the Megaladon. It's very big. But the first day he was like, you want me to bring the paddleboard? And there was, no one really understood what the Megalodon represented, the opportunity it represented. So we were like, you know what, don't worry about it. We all have
tubes, we've rented them. We'll just do that,
But
Greg.
then the next day.
It's a cute little idea you have.
Yeah, right. It's not a little idea. Then the next day, we had no choice but to break out the board. And Greg was like, I think it's like got a 1,000-pound weight limit. I think all 5 of us can fit on it. Like, what? All 5 of us can fit on a paddleboard? 5 men? Some of us pretty big.
I said, let's do it.
So we thought we were going to pump this thing up with the air compressor that hooks up to your car, but Greg didn't bring that, so we used the manual pump. And
50 pumps, and
50 pumps and rotate.
It's like everybody had to do 50 pumps.
To get to 13 PSI. 13 PSI is, it's real high. I thought Greg was, but you got to trust Greg, just like you said.
Yep.
Always trust Greg.
Mm-hmm.
So we pumped this thing up.
Took 20 minutes.
And we put it in the river, and Greg's like, we need to take a lawn chair. I'm like, what? You want to put a lawn chair on this thing? He said, yeah. So we put a lawn chair on the paddleboard. He said, if we had more chairs, I'd put those on there too. Tim sits in the lawn chair.
Yeah.
And then
call it the captain's chair, I guess.
It was Harm, Greg, me, and you, and then our coolers.
Yeah.
All on one paddleboard. And boy, we went down the river like that. And you know what? I got to say, I think we caused a bit of a scene.
Yeah, I think people took notice. There was some jealous
No
looks.
one could look at us and not smile. That's what I noticed.
Yep.
People would see 5 men on a paddleboard and just be like, oh, those boys are just having a time of their lives.
There was a lot of, I've never seen anything like that. I ain't never seen anything like that.
And then when we got to the rapids, everybody's like, y'all are going down, you're going down the rapids? He's staying in the chair?
Right.
We're like, yeah. And we did.
You just got to point it the right direction, right?
It was intense. But we got through. There was a lot of, whoa, but everybody got through. Tim stayed in the chair, kept his beer in his hand the whole time.
I think I ended up in your lap with a cooler.
Well, the thing that you did that almost really ruined the fun for me is you were sitting in front of me, and right as we got to the mouth of the rapids and all eyes were on us, instead of what you did is you stood up and bent over and got into like a doggy position with your ass right in my face. I was like, I don't want this for you.
That I've discovered that is the most stable position.
Yeah, but it's inconsiderate to the person who's directly behind you. So I was like, don't do that. Sit back down. And you did. And then
bend over again.
And then we went through the rapids and had a grand old time.
You got to use the other hand, right? Right? It was fun.
Use the other hand.
It was fun.
It was a great time.
It was the most fun that we had ever had on that trip. And we had so much fun until the next day when we went on an ATV trip. We went on an ATV tour, unguided, which are the best kinds.
Yeah.
Here, take my ATV and do whatever you want with it. I'll stay here, trusting you're gonna bring it back.
And it's called an ATV tour, but when I hear ATV, I think like four-wheeler, but it's those Polaris Razors. You know, it's the side-by-sides. It's like a little car is what it is.
Well, yeah, you could hold 4 people and it's got a roll cage.
And we rented 3 of them. So
and you're wearing a full helmet.
So basically no one had to sit in the back. It was either you were driving or you were the passenger. These things.
Well, I think what you did was you just, y'all all hopped in one and then here I'm like, well, here I am alone. I was odd man out. I got left to my own car.
I think we discussed this on a previous Ear Biscuit that we've done this before. And the time we did it before is when everyone learned what I already knew, which is you do not ride shotgun if Link is driving unless you want to feel like you're going to die the whole time. And so I said that when we showed up last year. I was like, I'll ride passenger with anyone except Link. I'm not going to do that. And
and Greg rode with me.
And then Greg looked like as white as a sheet when we got to the first stop.
Yeah. So nobody rode with me.
So everybody learned their lesson. We're like, okay, well, no one rides with Link. But that doesn't mean you get to just drive more than anybody else. It means we have to rotate through. So somebody gets. So I got to drive by myself for a little bit.
We were at. We weren't at Sisters, but we were kind of close to Sisters, which is a mountain.
But Sisters was a town, and we were there.
Oh, Sisters
that's the name
is
of the town
and the name of the mountains.
Yeah, Sisters, Oregon is outside of Bend, and that's where we got those breakfast burritos.
Right.
At Brunchies.
Brunchies is
good. Shout out to Brunchies. They got milk bread.
Get yourself apple fritter balls from Brunchies.
It's a little. It's a food truck with some tables outside of it.
Yep. Don't sit next to the porta potties.
Yeah, we might need to move the porta potties a little bit further away from the facility.
Yeah.
That's the only note we have. Everything else about it is great.
Yeah. ATVs were awesome. We covered a lot of ground, like going through like these pine forests, and then you start gaining elevation, climbing up different mountain peaks.
These incredible machines. This is not an ad for Polaris, okay? But it's baffling to me the engineering that goes into these machines that makes you feel, and I know this isn't true. I know that lots can go wrong, and when you're in a passenger seat, it feels much more tenuous than when you're driving. Because when you're driving, you're in control. But when you're driving this thing, they go like 60 miles per hour. I got up to 61 time, which is a crazy speed on a trail.
Yeah, because it'll drift on you.
Right. But the thing that happens, I only did that when it was like a straightaway and I felt safe. But I mean, going 35, 40 miles per hour down a single lane thing that's got rocks and who knows what's around the next bend, you just feel like you're in a video game because it's so responsive and the suspension is so forgiving.
Yeah.
That you hit these rocks and stuff and it's just like the wheel goes like that, like the wheels are doing this the whole time, but you're like locked in. I mean, it's so much fun.
It is fun. You're thinking like you might want to get one.
I don't want to buy one, but I want to rent one again. And I've been looking around the places that you can do it outside of LA.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and there's lots of desert. There's like a 4-hour self-guided trail on the other side of the mountains.
Oh, cool.
That looks really nice and got really good reviews.
The highlight was, I mean, there's all these lakes that you can go to and mountain peaks, but then, and we had 4 hours. So if you go to the far end of the route, and they had GPS mapping programmed in with like the routes that you could take, because there's a lot of roads that they recommend you don't take. And then it was the best ATV experience because they employed the GPS party tracking technology, and we had never done that before, because what happens usually is the person in front of you is throwing up so much dust that you're just eating dirt the whole time, even though you have goggles and everything. So you try to back off, but you don't want to back off too far because you'll lose them. And when you get to a fork in the road, the person in the front has to stop, let the person catch up, so you know we're going left, not right. But with the GPS, we could see each other's location on the thing and give each other space and not have to worry about it.
And you kind of let the first person kind of figure out where to go, and you just all followed.
Yep, and you could even like text through and communicate through the GPS system, which was really awesome.
I mean, it was great.
We get to the far side, and it was called, he had mentioned it, the guy who rented them to us was like the Black Dunes.
Black Sands.
Black Sands. Yeah, I was like, is it gonna be a dune? It wasn't actually a dune, because it was like, it was a couple of like open, I would call them like meadow areas. They were undulating, but it was all black sand. And then there were trees.
It's like a volcanic, everything in that area, you know, the Three Sisters are volcanoes, the big cone mountains. And so all of the rock all around this whole area is volcanic rock. And so a lot of it is black. And somehow in this one section, there's nothing growing. It looks like somebody came and tore everything down and just dumped like recreational sand.
Yeah.
For hundreds of yards in every direction. And then there's like these islands of trees and stuff. And we were just going as fast.
Nobody else was there.
Now, he gives you all kinds of warnings about it because he's like, if you're gonna tip over, you're gonna do it there, because if you're just going full speed and you just rip it to one side, you're gonna roll. And if you roll,
I'm gonna know it.
It's gonna, you immediately have to pay me $3,000.
He said, and you're gonna come back.
It's in the thing you just signed.
And you just need to tell me, and I'm gonna be cool about it, but I am gonna charge you $3,000. Okay?
Per vehicle.
Per vehicle, so don't do donuts, is what he said. Now, okay, I listened to him. I heard that. I heard it when he said it, and you know what? The day before I went on the trip, my therapist told me, I was talking to my therapist about this trip, and I mentioned ATV, and he said, well, you need to be careful.
Hold on, had you told him that you haven't been careful, or he just knows you as your therapist?
I think he knows me as my therapist.
Okay, yeah. Well, that means he's listening.
Yeah, he's a great listener.
That means he's paying attention.
Yeah, I was like, my therapist just told me to be careful on the ATVs. It's like, shit, now I've got an assignment.
Right.
You know, because I have a problem with wanting to please my therapist. So now it's like, now I'm like.
It's a common thing.
Okay, I can't come back and talk about how I broke a limb or, killed a friend. And then no one made a joke about killing a friend, but the guy said, the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to kill your friend. Like, that's gonna make you feel really bad. Like, right. That's what the guy who rented us the thing said. And I was like, okay, I hear that. I hear that. But if I'm in my own. So then I'm out there and I'm like, man, I really want to do some donuts out here. And the therapist won out.
Oh, you did?
Did you notice that?
Well, the first thing I noticed in that,
I didn't go too crazy.
Respect was, as we were going out, you were ahead of me. You were driving. We ended up leaving by accident, Tim and Greg, when we went up to that mountain.
Right.
And then they ended up going to Black Sands. So for a big portion of the trip, you were in the lead and me and Harm were behind you. I was driving at that time.
Uh-huh.
And I just found myself, like, I was going as fast as I was comfortable going, but I just was like, you weren't leaving me. And I was like, wow, Link, he's not pushing it as hard as he did last time. That's the main note I made. Yeah. I was like, if he's pushing it as hard as he did last time, then I would be having trouble keeping up with him. And I'm not having trouble keeping up with him. It's just like, we were equidistant from most of for the thing. So I was like, he's really showing some restraint. Or maybe
therapy.
I was like, he's either showing restraint or something is wrong with the truck. That's what I was thinking.
It was really tempting to do donuts, but we did like some drifting.
Because you're also
but not complete donuts.
Because you're also much more likely, like when you're by yourself, you do go faster. Coming back,
right.
when I was driving by myself, I was killing the speed. I was going so I was like, I'm right on the edge of safety, and I would never do this with somebody riding passenger because it's just
too fun.
It's too scary. It's too scary for the passenger because, and there's this thing built into the dash that you hold on to like this,
like a T-shaped bar,
which makes you feel a little bit safe, but you can't steer with it.
And you can't brake with it.
No, but when we were out there, it was
that
great.
was cool.
And no one even left. No one even had a moment where all four wheels weren't on the ground. None of us.
Because he also said, don't do that. When we got back, we're like, look, all in one piece, no problem. We didn't do any rolling. We didn't have any problems. He was like, well, the group before you did.
They rolled it.
And they didn't tell me either, but of course I can tell, and I'm already charging them. Come take a look. And then he was like, see how they rolled the whole thing? And we were like, how often does this happen? He said, once a week. Like, it's just part of his lease with Polaris and like the insurance and stuff. It's just like, all right, you're gonna get dinged the $3,000 deductible or whatever, and I already have the parts and I'm gonna just go ahead and fix it and file the claim, and I have to do it every week. Because people like you are crazy. And you know what? It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
I mean, I saw those guys, two guys, and they were sitting there looking at the car, and it was like leaking something out. And Greg told those guys, you should stop and call the guy.
Right.
Greg gave him the dad advice, the good dad advice. And they just kind of looked at him like, And then they just figured it out, and they came back. And,
maybe we won't notice.
And they pulled right up and acted like nothing had ever happened, and he immediately knew that they had rolled it. He was like, see this, and this, and he explained what the leak was. It's like when you get upside down, this happens and all this.
He had a demeanor about him, the renter guy.
I liked it.
I liked it.
There was no, it was like, I'm not bullshitting with you because this is serious. Yeah. I'm very cool. I'm very chill.
Right.
But also, I've had to give this, I know that you're not really taking me seriously about some of these things I'm saying, and so I'm going to say it in a way that makes you listen.
Yeah.
I appreciated it.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate all the yellow jackets that were swarming us.
It was effective. It was effective. It had an impact on me.
It worked.
That and the therapist. Maybe, I bet he'd be a good therapist. Should have told him that. Maybe I would have gotten a discount.
Those side-by-sides are so fun. There are places in the country where there are places to do it around here for sure. And the desert and the scenery and stuff is very fun. There are places, we've got friends that live in Arkansas, and that's like a hotbed of side-by-sides. Lots of people have them, and there's just endless trails that go through the woods and stuff. I can see how you get kind of addicted to that.
Yeah.
Because it is physically demanding, but it's not as physically demanding as some of the other stuff. Like we were talking about maybe doing a winter get-together at some point. And like, should we go to a ski mountain? And I was like, I'm evaluating my relationship with snow skiing right now as a man who will soon be 48. And and he was already 6'7". And I'm just like, I just don't know. I don't know how much longer. I don't know if I need to ever do it again.
What about
What
about softball? That seems safe. You could take up softball.
Yeah, the ball is harder than the name would imply.
I mean, do you remember?
Jenna, are you reevaluating your relationship with softball?
It kind of, but not really, because that's why I'm getting the surgery. Surgery.
Can you tell us the story? Tell us the story, because we don't have a story.
Okay.
Of personal injury, but this episode needs one.
Okay, I would
and you
love
know what?
to be that
It doesn't
person.
even have to be true.
No,
you can make it up.
Oh, well, I'll tell the truth.
All right.
Because this is, yeah.
What happened to you?
A few weeks ago, I was on my rec league co-ed softball team, and it was a playoff game, and I was in the outfield, as I usually am, and there was a ball, and I ran full speed after it, trying to catch it, as you do.
A pop fly?
A pop fly. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was in foul territory. I was a left field, so I was really booking it to try and like catch it. And then there was a little divot in the grass that my left foot found, and there was a pop, and I immediately fell to the ground and said, "Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad." And that was the thing I kept repeating as like my teammates came up, and all the guys on my team were like, "What do you need? What do you need?" And I was like, "I need a minute.
Need a minute.
Just give me a minute. I know this is bad, but give me a minute." And I took a minute and was able to like stand up, and they like helped me off the field, and gave me an ice pack and a couple ibuprofens and a Modelo.
Are you serious? Couple of ibuprofens and
Not
a
always the
Modelo?
greatest combination, but okay.
Listen, in the moment is exactly what I wanted.
Right, yeah.
And then
How much pain were you in at this point?
well, I'm assuming a lot. People seemed surprised that I wasn't like crying out in pain and that I was still functional. And I just take that as I'm really good at dissociating.
Okay. We can take partial credit for that.
Right.
No, that was
You
before
work for
you
us.
guys. That was before you guys. Listen, I was built. Before I worked for you.
I was built for disassociation.
Yeah. Before I worked for you all, I built who I am today, brick by brick, you know.
Pain
Anyway.
is your middle name? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so went and saw the doctors that next week and had to
Next week?
No, that next day I started going to the doctors. I didn't go that day because I was like, this doesn't feel like an emergency. I can just go home and elevate it and ice it. Like, I know it's bad. I know I should see someone, but
Right.
it's not an emergency bad to me anyway.
And when you say go to the doctors, you went to multiple doctors, or is that just something? Is that a
I
Tennessee
did.
euphemism?
It's the TV show.
Yeah, I went on the doctors.
Oh, okay. Is that still happening?
Is that show still happening? I have no
I
idea.
don't think so. Wasn't that a Dr. Oz thing?
No. Well, it was a spinoff.
I don't
believe.
remember. But yeah, so X-rays and then I got an X-ray first to make sure it wasn't broken, and then saw my primary, and then he was like, "You need an MRI," and it took forever to get an MRI scheduled. Turns out I tore my ACL.
Oh, God.
Full tear. I've got a lovely orthopedic surgeon. I'm getting surgery in a couple weeks.
Like, where is that?
The ACL is,
I know a lot of athletes of all types get these.
It's kind of goes over the kneecap in a supportive way. So, like, it helps keep the kneecap stable, especially with lateral movements.
So how did stepping in a hole make it snap?
Because my knee went a strange lateral, it took a lateral shift that was unnatural to it so quickly because I was running so fast, and that just snapped it.
Yeah,
And
it's
did
always
Did
something.
it snap it at an anchor point, or did it snap it in the middle?
Well, my surgeon didn't tell me that specifically. I'm not entirely sure.
Because every time you see somebody tear an ACL in a sports injury, you're watching it, and I mean, sometimes it's crazy and the knee does something nuts. Most of the time, it's just like, this dude was running along and made a quick lateral movement, and then he just fell down.
Yeah.
It never is like one of those things where like the knee bends backwards or something. Of course, that would do some damage, but it just sometimes it seems so subtle.
Yeah.
You heard a pop?
Oh, yeah.
Like-
I heard and felt.
Can you do an impression of this pop? Was it like the opening of a can?
Can we move
No,
on?
it wasn't the opening of a can. I think that would have been more fun.
Like that?
This doesn't bother
yeah.
you? Like
Yeah, soda pop. No, what was that song?
you don't like
I'm just
talk of blood, but you can take talk of ligaments.
Well, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm not.
I'd rather hear
queasy
talk of blood than talk of ligaments breaking.
I will say, yeah, the sensation I have in my knee now is a discomfort. Like I can feel that something isn't in the right place.
Okay.
And I don't like that feeling, and I don't like describing that feeling because I also hate that. I hate that feeling. I hate that more than blood too. I'm just like, it feels, I can tell something's not right inside, and I can't.
Well, it's painful. That's the thing too.
And you can still walk. Though.
I can still walk. Yeah. I have to, and then I have to do physical therapy and leading up to the surgery too, so that my recovery is better. So like I've been doing some minor like stretching so that I can have full extension of the knee by the time I need surgery, and so that I'm still working those muscles, especially my quad, so that my quad doesn't like atrophy. So yeah.
And then what are they going to do? They're going to go in there and they're going to give you.
We've chosen a less invasive kind of surgery where they are using a cadaver's ACL essentially, or patella. So like it's less
A dead
incisions
woman.
or man.
You gonna have a man ACL?
I might. Yeah. The difference between
play
the
softball
two
anymore.
is zero.
Oh,
so,
yes, co-ed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's co-ed softball. I'm allowed.
So
yeah.
it can be co-ed within your own body.
Yeah, I can.
That's a co-ed body, yeah.
So
Where
do
were we
you get to choose from an array of cadavers?
Ooh, wouldn't that be fun?
Like you grab the ankle and just start moving the knee up and down?
No,
Like,
because is okay.
No, it's an organ donor.
As morbid as this is going to be right now, Link,
Yeah.
just so you completely understand this, this is someone, she's going to get someone's knee who is currently alive, right now is alive, and is
Yeah.
going to die around the time that she is having the surgery.
Oh, wow.
Who doesn't currently know that they are going to be a donor of this tissue. Like, it's morbid to think about it,
Yeah. No.
just so you understand. It's not somebody
I'm a
currently
donor.
sitting in a morgue waiting to, it's somebody who will have died.
But do they cart a couple in at the moment? I mean, you know how the fancy restaurants,
It's not
it's like
It's not
tableside
tableside service.
guac, tableside ACL. It's like, which one do you want?
Yeah. I don't feel comfortable participating in this conversation.
Do they need,
Just so
Like
you-
choosing a
for the
lobster
for the
before-
record.
do you need to have someone who's roughly the same height?
No.
What about a pig?
Why when it could be a person?
You seen a pig's legs?
You know?
You don't want a pig knee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Pig heart, but not a pig knee.
Pig heart
I'm
can
sure
work.
that is possible, but why would they when there's organ donors and I could have a person's?
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's the least invasive option because they won't have to take any stuff from me.
You get right. You can get it from somewhere else on you.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be fun. And then I'm going to be in physical therapy for a while after also.
And you've been wearing a brace.
I don't have the brace on today.
Why is that?
Because I'm testing. The brace doesn't allow me to do all the movements that would be beneficial to my recovery. So if I don't have a like today isn't a day where I'm running around doing a bunch of stuff. So like I can sit at my desk like here, I'm sitting here and I can elevate and I could do some stretches. Like I don't need a brace for those minor things. So yeah, but I have it at my desk just in case. My brace
good.
is here.
Well, you've remained very positive. I know that it was frustrating making those appointments and trying to get everything lined up.
Frustrating.
So, I'll invite listener, if you've torn your ACL, if you have some hot tips, if you have something that you want to share with Jenna, it's like a hack, like a ACL life hack, call us. Leave us a voicemail, 1-888-EARPOD1.
And to the people of Bend, Oregon, and those who love to visit, we thank you.
Thank you.
You were a really, really good time.
Yep.
And
You were a good town. A lot of new construction.
And also a lot of people who, when they would see us, would be like, what brings you guys to Bend? As if you don't understand the beauty of your town.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why not Bend? Why not Bend, Oregon?
You've done it once.
Why not Bend, Oregon?
We might have to Bend, Oregon.
It's a beautiful place with proximity to beautiful places.
I think if we went back, we would rent one of those places right on the river.
Right on the river.
And then we would just heckle and jekyll and cackle. And we can invite all people, lesbians, straights, gays, all people.
Yeah.
Trans people.
Yes.
Everybody. We'd invite them into our yard.
Right.
And we'd give them a couple ibuprofen and a Modelo.
No, we wouldn't do that. No, we wouldn't do that. We're not going to be medicating people.
We'd say, you can go
That's
for a
not what
spin
we're
on the
about.
Megalodon.
I don't know. After they sign a waiver, we get a copy of the waiver from the ATV guy.
Right. If you
Hold on,
roll
if I-
this thing $3,000.
$3,000 if I turn this board over? Yes, sir. You signed it. The Megalodon.
The Megalodon.
So, but now the exercise. In fact, your wife had a suggestion for you that was for us.
She was so excited about it.
Because she said that she had seen a group of women who were on a trip together, and that the way that they decide where they're going to go the following year is everyone writes down where they want to go on a sheet of paper, and then they put it into a hat, and you pull it out.
When you pull it out, you're not going there.
And it's the last one standing is where you go. And she was like, y'all should do that. It would be fun. And then we said, do you know how hard it was for us to agree on Bend, Oregon? The last thing we want is...
Right.
Now, I wasn't going to put it exactly the way you put it, because when we began to discuss this with a very small group of 5 gentlemen, 2 of which are us, Link said, well, I think my problem is that not everybody is going to have good ideas. I was like, you could have said that.
Right.
You could have said that differently.
Yeah, I don't want to make it a game to where we have to go to the place that was the dumb idea.
I don't think it would be, it's that they're bad ideas. It's that we end up suggesting a place and then we run it through our decision matrices.
Yeah.
And then that's how we decide if it's a good idea or not. You know?
Fire pits, floats, lesbians.
There has been talk of something international. I don't know if it'll happen. I gotta say, I was the one who brought it up. But it might be too big of a commitment. And when I say international, we're talking either Canada or Mexico. We're not leaving North America.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
I don't have time for that.
But that's it. That's what we did. And we made it back all in one piece. And we're glad that you listened.
Well, and the last thing I'll say, because a lot of people, when they're like, what are you guys doing here? And we always say, and we're usually all 5 of us are together. And we're like, well, we get together with our college friends every single year. And we choose a different place in the U.S. to go. This year, we've been to Oregon. And everyone says something along the lines of, if they're older, they say, oh, man, that's a good idea. I should do that. I think I'm going to, you can see it on their face that they want to plan.
A girls' trip.
Girls' trip, guys' trip. They want to plan a trip with their friends. In fact, we ran into another group of ladies, and they had gone to high school together, and they all had hats on, matching hats on.
Matching hats.
They had not yet put the logo on the hat, which we criticized them openly for.
Right.
Or we asked penetrating questions about it.
Okay.
And they said, well, the logo is coming. But the point was, we're like, hey, we're doing the same thing. We're on a trip too, I think that...
Now you might ask the question, did you talk to any men on the river?
Well, we typically don't.
Yeah, we typically didn't need
don't.
to.
We typically don't. But the thing is that making the decision, if you've got a group of friends, if you've got people that you went to college with or you grew up with, reconnecting with them and then saying, hey, let's all get together.
Get on a Megalodon.
Here's the thing. It might be a disaster for you. It depends on your friends. If you got friends like us, it won't be a disaster. It'll be a good time.
Yep.
So if you got friends you can have a good time with,
do it.
Make it happen. And then, right when you're done doing it, begin planning the next one. Don't wait to the last minute. We're already talking about next year.
Girls' trip.
Yeah, this is Carl. My grandson got this hooked up for me to listen to you on the podcast, and I really enjoy it. I'm used to listening, I like to listen to AM radio, but now everything's gone away. It's so staticky with the hearing aids that found that the podcast is where the better. And this one here is really good. So this is Carl from Minnesota. Toodaloo.
Good Mythical Evening is blasting off October 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. You can join us live from home or with your fellow Mythical Beast at a participating Alamo Draft House near you. Get your tickets now at goodmythicalevening.com.